All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Wayne's World Garage. Okay, since I took 2 hours of video of us milling those 5 walnut logs, you're going to get to watch another log being milled today anyway. But we're going to shorten it up. We'll have a little bit less helmet cam video. Thank you so much for the comments there. I appreciate that, and that's the only way I can improve my videos. But just before I get going, why has it been a month before Wayne put out a video? So let me just show you. So I told you in the last video, here's our firewood stacks. My wife burns a lot of firewood. So these are pretty good sized stacks. We keep them all off the ground here. I get some nice milled lumber from the sawmill, and then they're off the ground. They dry pretty well, but you got to keep them covered up. And we've got 10 stacks about like this. I've got one more to finish up, and then we'll be finished here, okay? And my wife puts dates on them so she knows, when they were cut, so we can burn the oldest ones first, and it seems to work out pretty well. Here's my log splitter. I've got videos of the log splitter in action. This here, what you see here, this big pile is my buddy Tom and I cut a tree down a couple weeks ago. So I dragged it out of the woods. It was a red oak. It was dead. And this is the wood from that one tree. And how much wood is here? There's quite a bit. Unfortunately, there was a lot of sapwood in this. So what I do is I split the sapwood up, okay, into one pile. That's what this is. And there's good heartwood in it too, but there's a bunch of sapwood in it, but it's gonna rot out. It's not gonna be as good. So I've got a pile of sapwood over here, and actually this is a much better view. We got a pile of sapwood on the right where it's a lot of the barky type stuff, and this beautiful heartwood on the left. So we'll keep the heartwood, and the sapwood will give way for people for fire pits and stuff like that. Now, most interesting is several weeks ago, I've got this log splitter, which I built probably 15, 20 years ago. And this is interesting. If you look carefully, I bent the I-beam. So my little 4-way splitter up there doesn't go straight up and down anymore. So the I-beam at the base, I bent. And I think I bent it because I put a big heavy log on one side. And I don't quite know how to straighten that out. I don't think we're going to straighten it out, actually. So let me get a little bit closer here to show you what it is. You can see it right here, right up here. It's bent up just a little bit, not a lot, thank goodness, and it still works. So I suspect it's going to stay the way it is. Too bad. But anyway, on to the milling of the next walnut log. Thanks for watching this, guys. Last week we spent 2+ hours milling 5 of those black walnut logs. I figured that 2 hours of video would put you all to sleep, so we shortened the first one to just 1 log. So this video is going to be us doing the second and third log. And if it's interesting to you, leave a comment. If it's boring, leave a comment also. Give it a thumbs up anyway and subscribe anyway, and we'll try and give you something else that you like to watch. But it's a pretty interesting process. We ended up milling all 5 logs in about 2 hours, a little over 2 hours. We hit nails, or screws anyway, at least 3 of them. And sadly, a lot of this wood, the sapwood, was pretty thick. The sapwood's a white part of the wood, the part we don't really like. We want the black part of it, the black walnut part. That's the way it goes. It is what it is. There's also some mush in the wood, a little bit of rot in the wood. Regardless, when you look at how much wood we get out of this, we got a fair amount of wood out of this tree. So nobody's complaining because it's still a bargain. If you go to the lumber place locally and buy a piece of lumber, like they sell a piece 36 inches by 6 inches wide by 3/4 inches thick, that's 3/4. It's a little bit over 1 board foot of wood. They sell that for $28. So it's crazy the price of black walnut around here. Now we got to dry the wood, and you're going to plane it and joint it and make it smooth on 4 sides. Regardless, we're going to end up with a lot of really, really nice wood. So thanks for watching. Appreciate it. I hope you enjoy this. Take care. All right, so here we are. The first step is to roll the log onto this thing here. And while that sounds like an easy task, it takes 3 or 4 people because it still weighs probably 1,000 pounds, maybe 1,500 pounds, 2,000 pounds. It's not that small of a log. It's 8+ foot long, so it's a pretty good sized piece of wood. So we got 3 guys down there rolling this thing on. tried the other way, it didn't go.
Bring it forward now?
Yeah, if you want to hold it?
Yep.
Okay. Off it. You're doing 5/4, right? 5/4 by 6. I think this one has a nice wood in it. Yeah, 6 to 8, somewhere in there. Try and make it 6 if you can, because 6 is easy to work with. I get stickers easy here. You know what I mean? It's all over the place. Okay. Work it. 7. But try and make it consistent. That's all. You're gonna have to wait. So what Doug and I are discussing here is what size wood we should make. And my suggestion is to make them about 6 inches wide. Doug was saying, yeah, maybe up to 8 inches wide. Regardless of what we do, I'd like to make them consistent, okay, so that they're easy to sticker. So if you get wood home and it's 6 inches wide, 7 inches wide, 8 inches wide, it makes it a lot harder to sticker it and stack it and make it in, decent pieces of piles so it dries. So I think these ended up being close to 7 or 8 inches. It doesn't matter as long as they're the same, and that's the important thing. And that's what we ended up doing. So if you look carefully, and you don't have to look that carefully, this is a pretty nice sized log. But look at the color of the wood we're cutting. It's not very black for black walnut on this part of it. We've already got a couple big slices off of it. We're a good cut into this wood. And unfortunately, the sapwood is pretty thick here, which is not what you want for black walnut. Some of the logs is pretty good. Regardless, you have to cut a lot of the sapwood out of this stuff. Nobody really wants a sapwood. No, this is not a new method for milling boards on the Frick sawmill. This is Alan trying to take out drywall screws out of this nice poplar log. So this is number 2, and we're going to hit 1 or 2 more, sadly. Unfortunately, it's a risk you take when you get wood out of people's yards. It's just not a whole lot you can do about it. Real sawmills oftentimes will not take wood out of residential neighborhoods, and here's why. It's just tough on the saw blade, and it's tough on our bits. But Pete gave Alan the chainsaw, we whacked it out, and we're good to go. Well, sadly, as you can see, we're quite a bit into this log, and all we're seeing is white. Actually, that's not all we're seeing, but there's a lot of junk wood. It's just not that nice. Not as much heartwood as we were hoping. A log this big, I'd like to see a whole lot more heartwood right away, and we don't, but that's the way it is. We got a nice tree, got plenty of logs here to work with, but it's not as good as it could have been. Glad we didn't have to pay a lot of money for this log.
I'm going to cut a cant off of this 7 inches. Yeah. We're just going to go with 7. Yeah. And see what it looks like that one was 5/4 on one end and 3/4 on the other. So, okay. But yeah, I'm going to cut a 7-inch cant and then we'll just cut slabs off of that.
All right, so we're finally starting to get in some decent heartwood here. As you can see, the cants that he's making look pretty good. There's not a whole lot of branches coming out of them, a whole lot of knots in them. This is nice quality wood, so we're getting a little bit happier here. And he's making these into 7-inch cants, so that we'll have nice 7-inch wide boards, which will be easy to work with. So we're getting there, but still, look at this first one we cut. There's a bunch of rot at the one end of it. It'll work out. So here's what I'm talking about. I mean, look at this log, I turn it down. There's more white than there is anything else. Well, that's not too much. But we'll cut more out of it, and we'll get some nice heartwood out of it. That's not a bad looking board. So what we're doing here is we're making 2x4s, and the 2x4s, once we plane them and joint them, we can glue them up to make 4-inch by 4-inch legs, which would be nice for making tables. But we didn't want to use 4-inch pieces of wood because it'll take several years to dry. So the 2-inch ones will glue up nice. They'll be nice and straight. They'll look perfect. And that's the story. I'm sticking with it. All right, well, that's going to wrap up another episode of Wayne's World Garage. I'm just going to show you 2 out of these 5 logs. This is the second log. And this video is a half hour long, but it gets to give you an idea of what it takes to mill one log into some nice pieces of wood. As we said, not to harp on the subject, a lot of metal in this wood and a lot of sapwood in it. Regardless, we still ended up with a couple of really nice pieces of wood out of it, and we split it up with a couple of guys. Phil got some, and then Doug got some, and I got some, and we'll dry it out, and they'll make nice furniture out of it, hopefully the next couple of years anyway. So thanks for watching. Please give this a thumbs up, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. And leave a comment. This video, we tried to have a little bit less of the helmet cam, because I understand it makes you dizzy, and I get it too. I think I had a little bit too much helmet cam, but it was a new novelty I was trying out. So I've got less helmet cam going on here, and more rafter cam. And next time when I do these cherry logs next week, we'll move the rafter cam a little bit closer to the saw so we can see a little bit better. Again, thanks for watching, guys. Have a good day.